Good morning, Honor. May it please the court, Jamie Horowitz for the people, 267466.
Evan Callen on behalf of the defendant.
Mr. Robinson, state your name for the record.
Devon Robinson.
Are you ready to proceed with cross-examination? Attorney Callahan,
Yes.
please clean the jury up.
All rise for the jury, please. You may be seated. Please remain quiet. Let's have all 14 jurors. Whenever you're ready, attorney. Yes, you may.
He's giving some testimony with regards to cell phones, correct?
Correct.
And in regards to cell phones, when you obtain records of the call data, that call data reflects the number that it was called and the outgoing and the ingoing, correct?
The call detail records, sir?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and you can map where that phone was within, what, a mile or two, correct?
Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes, not all the time, right?
Correct.
Right. And what you can't tell is,
You know, I'm going to object to this point regarding cell phone towers. This witness is not an expert. We feel the call is a record.
I don't believe this is beyond the scope of her knowledge, and she's given kind of considerable testimony about cell phones.
Well, he's asking questions about the range of, potential range of towers.
Well, I believe the officer in charge can testify to that particular information. He's not asking for any specialized testimony as it relates to cell phone records or call data records. And this witness has already testified regarding call data records specifically as it related to, I believe, the person who was with Paris at the house.
Court taken, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please proceed.
And what you don't know is who was in possession of the phone, right?
Correct.
For any of these phone calls that you have, you don't know who was in possession of the phone at the time the phone was used, correct?
Which phone are you talking about specifically, sir?
Well, let's talk about Sabrina Bates' phone.
Okay.
Okay, anytime a phone call's made from there, you don't know if it's made from Sabrina, or if it's made from the defendant, or if it's made from some other third party, correct?
True.
There's no way to know, there's no way to know who picked up the phone and dialed it, correct?
True. But sometimes,
Now, you were made aware of the fact that Paris had an argument or a disagreement with his boyfriend or lover or whatever he was, correct?
Objection was heard. Position.
Sustained.
There was an individual by the name of Taylor that was involved with Paris, correct?
correct.
And there's a 4-hour gap in telephone communications, correct?
When are you speaking of, sir?
May 24th, 25th.
Can you elaborate on
You
your...
testified, ma'am, that as to the precise times that calls were made to Paris from this phone.
That's incorrect, sir.
You testified, did you not, that there was calls to Paris at 1 a.m.?
No, I did not.
What did you testify?
I testified that there were calls made by the phone number belonging to Mr. Tatum and the time that those calls were, not who they were placed to in the area of which that cellular device was at.
I see, so you don't know whether or not this individual talked to Paris or not, do you?
I did check to see if Paris's number, her phone number, showed up in the call detail records belonging to Mr. Tatum.
Right,
And
there's
that number
There's a time gap.
did
isn't
not.
there?
Can she finish her testimony, please? Can the witness finish her statement before she's cut off?
Mr. Callahan, please allow the witness to
Sure.
testify, because we do have a recorder here, so she needs to take everything down. And so it will be helpful to her, I'm sure, if everyone takes their turn speaking.
I apologize.
Thank you.
So,
There's
No.
a time gap in phone calls.
Wait. I apologize. The witness was testifying that she checked Paris's phone records, and she was getting ready to elaborate on that, and she was cut off by Mr. Young. And she finished her statement.
Is it responsive to the questions you're asking, Attorney Callahan?
I don't think so.
Yes, he was asking whether or not there was any
Well,
contact between
okay.
Paris and.
Finish your statement.
so going back, if I understand you correctly, Counselor, you're asking me about a 4-hour time gap stating of a call placed to Paris. And what I testified to, I was not testifying to calls that were placed to Paris or to any specific person. I stated times in which 2 calls that were made on the 24th of May in the area of which that cellular device was servicing, which those calls that were placed on the 24th were servicing the area on the east side of Detroit. Then I spoke of a call that came at 1 o'clock in the morning, and that cellular device was on the west side of Detroit. I did not state as to the calls, who was calling who, just the area.
Right. And then there's not another call placed to or from that number for approximately 4 hours, right?
If I could see the call detail sheet, I could tell you the time.
And allow Mr. Cronin to sign.
And yes, Counselor, you may approach the witness, yes.
Just refresh your recollection. Your answer?
There is a time gap, but to state that that phone number was the time gap in between calling Paris's phone, that would be incorrect.
But there is a time gap.
Yes,
Right, and you know, of course, that earlier in the evening that you've heard the testimony here, that there were a pretty good fair quantity of people at this house that evening, right?
correct.
And you don't know who all of those individuals were, do you?
Not earlier in the evening, not all of them, no.
And you don't know what transpired earlier in the evening, do you?
I know what was told by the individuals who were there. and still survive the incident.
But you don't know everyone that was there, and you don't know maybe what their context were, do you?
Correct.
You don't know if anyone left there angry, do you?
I was not told anybody left angry.
You're aware that a woman called the police about sex acts occurring outside of her house,
Correct.
and you were aware that there were a number of individuals involved with that, correct?
Correct.
One of which was Paris, correct?
Yes.
And this person fired a gunshot into the air, correct?
Yes.
And then supposedly these people all left, correct?
Correct.
And you don't know who all of these individuals were at that location at that time, do you?
No.
You have police reports reflecting that Mr. Robinson had contact with the police at the Buckingham address, correct?
Yes.
And do you have a Michigan ID for the defendant reflecting his address as Buckingham?
I do not.
Do you have a driver's license reflecting his address as Buckingham?
I do not.
Do you have any mail addressed to the defendant at the Buckingham address?
It's possible.
Do you have it or don't you?
If from the pictures of the search warrant at the Buckingham location, a picture could have been taken with mail in it. If I could see the pictures,
Go ahead, Ben.
well, if I could see the pictures, I'd be able to answer that, sir.
May I?
Maybe what?
Provide her with the pictures from Buckingham.
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
Judge, I think I get it first.
Yes, will you let the defense counsel see them first?
He's had a copy for months, Your
I
Honor.
understand, but at this point, you're about to approach the witness with a packet of pictures. Defense counsel does have a right to see what you're approaching with.
I'm marking the top one as proposed exhibit 39.
I'll show you People's proposed exhibit number 39. And ask that you look at that. Ma'am, People's proposed exhibit 39 is not a letter addressed to the defendant, Devon Robinson, is it?
No.
It appears to be a hospital record, does it not?
Yes.
And the name Devon Robinson is on it, correct?
It is.
And what you did is you located this at the Buckingham address, correct?
Yes.
And are you suggesting really that this establishes residency because you found it at a place that you knew he frequented it?
Objection, argumentative.
Who's saying?
May I move for condition 39, Your Honor?
Yeah, I'll redirect you can,
Thanks, sir.
not during cross-examination of defense counsel.
You reference a police report in your direct examination that was created in, I believe, July of 2018, correct?
Correct?
And this alleged crime occurred May 25th of 2019, correct?
Yes.
So we have just about an entire year between the creation of a police report and this crime, correct?
Yes.
If you know, ma'am, Ms. Sabrina Bates have a drug problem.
I'm unaware.
Now, when the police, you flashed the defendant's picture or caused it to be flashed across the media, right? News media?
Correct?
Okay, and you did that when?
May 25th?
May 25th. You gave testimony about Mallory Robinson not giving you a statement.
Yes.
Is Mallory Robinson obligated in any way to give you a statement?
Obligated? No.
You're investigating her son.
Yes.
You're part of a team alleging that he's committed a murder, correct?
Yes.
But she had every right to refuse to talk to you, didn't she?
To refuse to talk to me? Yes.
But she had every right to do that, didn't she?
To refuse to talk to me?
She had every right to refuse to talk to you, did she or did she not?
She did.
It's not uncommon for witnesses or even victims to not want to talk, is it?
That is true, sir.
Aside from the video at the BP gas station. There is no video reflecting the face of the individual in the video, correct?
You're correct.
There's a video of somebody leaving, allegedly leaving the scene of the shooting, correct?
Well, the video does exist of a person leaving the scene on Devonshire, yes, sir.
And that camera does not extend all the way around the corner, does it?
It does not.
And you don't know where the individual actually went that was depicted because we lose sight of it, correct?
You're talking about the video on Devonshire, sir? Correct.
From the victim's home, yes.
Yes, sir.
There's no video of an individual wearing all black going into Devonshire, is there?
There's not.
Nothing.
Redirect.
Does the video exist of the 4 minutes before you see someone coming running out, 4:57, it's adjusted and close to 4:58? Does there video exist of the 4 minutes before that person comes running out of the house?
It does not.
Why not?
Because as Detective Cecile testified previously, the camera, it's a motion camera, and that camera is motion activated. Additionally, as he stated, it is designed for that individual's house. It's to watch that person's house, not the house across the street. So the video that we were able to capture, we were lucky to get that.
But we have video of a dark figure leaving at 4:53 a.m. from the Buckingham address, is that correct?
Correct.
And that time would be subsumed within those 4 minutes that we don't have before the 3:57 adjusted to 3:58 of the person coming out.
That's correct.
And when the person comes out of the address on Devonshire and goes down Devonshire in the direction of Brunswick, what direction is that again?
In the direction of Buckingham,
And at 5:01 a.m., we have what?
a figure going into the location on Buckingham.
Mr. Tatum. Did Mr. Tatum, who was deceased, did he live on Buckingham?
He lived on the west side of Detroit.
Clear across the city.
Yes.
Did you have any information that Mr. Tatum ever stayed on Buckingham or hung out at the defendant's house in this case?
No.
Did you have any information that anyone that you interviewed in this case either resided with the defendant, when we're talking about Blair, Armand, Lance, Brendan, did any of those people stay with the defendant in this case on Buckingham?
No.
Did you ever have any tips regarding Mr. Tatum being involved in this killing?
No.
Did you have any tips regarding anyone other than the defendant in this case?
No.
No one else gave you a tip to look at anybody else?
No.
I'm going to move for the admission of 39 at this time.
Any objection?
No objection.
People's proposed exhibit 39 is admitted.
What is 39 again?
It is a discharge paperwork from a hospital with the defendant's name on it.
May I publish to the jury, Your Honor?
You may.
And this was photographed in the location of 3440 Buckingham.
Yes.
That would be the location in which Ms. Bates testified regarding the defendant leaving the morning of May 25th between 9 and 10 a.m.
Correct.
During that time, which officers were in heavy presence over on Devonshire.
Yes.
Do you have any other address available to you for the defendant in this case, other than 3440 Buckingham?
I do not.
The phone records in this case from Ms. Bates' phone. We heard some jail calls. Did we hear the defendant referencing having Ms. Bates' phone for about a week prior?
Yes.
Did Ms. Bates also talk about that?
Yes.
Is that why you looked at the phone?
Yes.
Were you able to corroborate anything in the phone records regarding a cab?
Yes.
Can we pull up, please, number 19? I'm gonna come with the, perfect. 19, are there calls to check her cab here?
Yes.
And are there, I believe you testified there was one at 2:15:19,
Yes.
which is reflected on the record, which is being shown.
Correct.
And when you pulled the video of Buckingham after you identified the defendant as a person of interest and then interviewed Sabrina Bates and looked at her phone, looking at the Buckingham video, was there in fact a cab that pulled up around 2:30 a.m.?
Yes.
And an individual in light-colored clothing got out and went into 3440 Buckingham?
Correct.
And then you prepared a video montage of that time to the time at the gas station, is that correct?
Correct.
Do you have anyone else on video at 4 a.m. spitting and gagging at the gas station?
No.
Only the defendant?
Yes.
Do you have anyone else who has made jail calls in this case stating, talk to Chris, I'll let you know what happened? You think you're going to tell me? He knows and Jean knows. Anybody else making those comments?
No.
Speaking of Jean and Chris, were you able to identify a Jean and Chris in this case?
No. I was trying to. They're very common names. All the calls that I listened to, I was never able to obtain a last name for either one of them, nor was I able to hear a phone call that stated.
Do you have anyone else in this case making statements about, so that hate crime shit should be out the window, I told him I was gay?
No.
Do you have anyone else in this case making statements of, if in the terms of talking about a life sentence, if it comes down to it, 25 they say, or something like that, if it comes down to it, and being cut off? Anybody
No.
else? Anybody else crying to their mom about, sorry I'm even putting y'all through this?
No.
Anyone else in this case complaining about somebody had to tell them my location?
No.
The sex acts in this case that were referenced earlier in the evening on the 24th, that Friday night, you followed up with Ms. Brink, didn't you?
Yes.
And Ms. Brink gave you her gun willingly, didn't she?
Yes.
And that went to the lab in this case.
It did.
And Ms. Brink voluntarily showed up and testified before this jury, did she not?
She did.
Nothing further, thank you.
Anything additional from Kelly?
Yes. Nowhere in that phone call does he admit to pulling the trigger and killing 3 individuals, does he?
No.
He's on a phone call with his own mother, correct?
Yes.
He's in jail, correct?
Yes.
Charged with serious offenses, correct?
Yes.
Thank you, Althea.
Good.
Thank you.
One question, Your Honor?
One question based on this very brief response.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Was the defendant told that he was being recorded every time he made a call?
Yes.
Thank you.
Are we done with this particular witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
I believe now is probably a good time to break for lunch. And this court can handle a couple of other matters. We'll allow the jury to enter the jury room and gather their belongings so that they can go to lunch. I'll expect everyone back here promptly at 1 o'clock so that we can begin in the afternoon.
All rise for the jury, please.
Are there any matters that we need to handle on the record outside of the hearing of the jury counseling? Okay, I'll see everyone back here at 1 o'clock so that we can begin promptly at 1 o'clock. Thank you. Throughout the record.